Good morning. Hand today is going to be ace 2 offsuit. We are second act. Under the gun, open raises. He's playing 17-11. We have limited notes on him. We've got a 3-bet range, ace queen, ace king. We can see, even with this fewer hands, that he is pretty tight and early in mid position, and then he starts to loosen up in the cutoff and the button. It's a VPIP. Also, pre-flop raises. He doesn't have any limp first in. He does have the raise first in, so I think he is coming in for raises here. I think he's going to be fairly tight as like an under the gun position raise. I'm going to put something like that. I mean, it's a narrow range. It's just over 7%, but you've got your pocket pairs. You've got, your ace queen plus ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, suited, Broadway connector, suited connectors, and so forth. So definitely something tight. I fold, and then we get a call, and we get the big blind calling. We've got 64 on this player. Not much. He's playing 19-3. We do have this note on him, so he limps first in and then calls the low jack, which was a 3.5 big blind ISO raise in under the gun +2 with king 10 off. He said he was out of position, and then he led with 75%. We did this hand. This was king high hand. He had king 10. And then, of course, he rivered that king, that last king. So with his range, I kind of put together a range that looks something like this. When we look at the 3-bet, we don't have any 3-bets here. He's had opportunities to 3-bet, and I think out of 27 hands, you normally would find at least 1 to 3-bet. He didn't, so I think queens plus ace king is going to be a pretty decent just 3-bet range, conservative 3-bet range at this point. We're giving him ace king. We're basically almost at about 18%, and I think that's close to what he would play. You could see that mid positions 1 out of 4, early positions 2 out of 3. Really hasn't played cutoff or button, so he's not really playing massive amount of speculative hands, but I think these are okay. We can even kind of get rid of the king 9, queen 9, maybe the jack 9, and just leave hands like this where we've got more of the broadways, pocket pairs, suited aces, and that's it. This other guy we've played before. We've done his hands. All of these you can say call 2-bet from blinds range. You can see jacks and 10s are in there. It looks like suited aces, suited kings. I'm going to say, I say suited kings because you've got king 9 and king 3 suited. It looks like we have suited queens with queen 9, queen 4 suited. Looks like you have suited 1-gappers, at least 10, 8, and 9, 7 suited. You've got your connectors down to at least 5, 4. And then it looks like your offsuit. I think we said the king 6 offsuit looks like a strange one. That could be like a real late position raise that he decided to call. I don't think that's in a standard calling range. So I put this together. Assume queen plus ace queen. That's our 3-bet. With our notes, he had a 3-bet and then just called with ace queen off. So I think we would assume ace queen would be a raise. So we've got 3 players. We've got a progressively looser ranges as we progress, as we move to later action. So we see a flop, a king, queen, 8. No big surprise. He checks, and now we are in the pre-flop raiser, and he bets small. No notes on this, so we have to figure out what is he doing this with. Typical bet here. This is ACR. We are looking at half pot, maybe 25%, maybe a third. I think half pot is standard for a lot of people. It depends on when they started. It used to always be like half pot was a pretty standard bet, and I think it still is for different situations. This is less than that. It's 1.8. We're dealing with not even a 25% bet. This is just pretty darn small. So is this he's betting because he has one of these like 9s, 10s, jacks and now has 2 overcards? Or is he betting because he really flopped hard and wants calls and is afraid to scare people out? He could also be doing this with like aces because of the king queen that's out there. That's a possibility. I think it's less likely though. So we're gonna scale these down. I'm gonna say 50% to top pair. I think 50% to overpair. I think just 50% overall. Because we're just unsure what he's doing this with. I'm gonna say at least the set. Actually, we'll just do 100% all of these. So I do expect top pair plus to bet. Don't really expect middle pair. He was in position and chose not to cbet one time. Ace jack and ace 10. Those do fit too. Those do fit. And probably, if I were to say anything, these gut shots and open ender probably fit the most. Probably fit the most of betting smaller because they don't want to bet large. They're still on a draw. I think maybe 100% he could be betting based on his ranges. I think a set's going to be a little less less likely. Yeah, sets and 2 pairs. Those are going to be the ones I'm going to scale that down and say I'm going to think he would have bet this quite a bit larger with those 2 hands. Because they are powerful. We'll leave the overpair aces because he could be scared of the king queen whatever. So in the end, I think he's betting with virtually 100%. We get 1 call and then we get the fold. So this guy folds. This guy calls. What is he gonna call with? Let's see. Well, we only have 64 hands, so we don't really have the read on him. All right, would he raise in this spot? I'm going to say no. We kind of assume kings and queens would have raised. So with sets, I'm going to scale it, set that the set at 50%. Same thing with 2 pair. I kind of think this could be a situation where players, there is a straight draw out there with the king queen, but there's not a flush, and I think people are more likely to 3-bet or to raise in this spot with the trips or 2 pair when there's that flush on the board. So yeah, we're just gonna leave this at 100%. Leave that as a call. He'll slow play. I think top pair is probably calling, middle pair is probably calling. 9s, 10s, jacks I think are going to be hard pressed to call, but we'll include those in for 1 call. I don't think we have any of the other ones. We're going to give him open ender. We're going to say that he call with the open ender. I guess we can also call with a gut shot as well. If anything, this is going to be the one that gets scaled. 50%. Maybe he calls with a gut shot, maybe he doesn't. So 53%. All right, so we've got 2 players. The 6 of spades comes out. This guy checks. All right, so once he checks, I am eliminating sets and 2 pair. I'm going to eliminate the overpair. I think I'm going to eliminate the top pair, at least ace king. I'll leave king queen in there. I think middle pair, second pair. I think our draws, open ender, gut shot, probably are checking at this point. So our hand just becomes extremely weak for his check. Definitely, I think he is top pairs is very unlikely at this point. And then dealing with 3 checks. So at this point, yeah, I kind of expect sets and 2 pair to be betting here. I do expect our top pair probably would bet here for a little bit of value. I think top pair would bet for a little bit of value. I think we're gonna go with those. Middle pair, pocket pair less, those undercards, no made hands. I think that check plays into his range a bit more. So 8 of diamonds comes out. Villain 2 checks, they both check. So at this point, I think, yeah, top pair is still in his range. I think it's really nothing. I think the first guy, once he checks the turn, he's going to be checking the river. In position player, he has some hands that he could play. I don't think he's going to be playing them. I think he's just going to take the showdown. So, I mean, without saying anything, his bet was very small. His C bet was very small, and once he bet that and then he checked the turn, it is 100% weakness almost always. So I'm not going to be surprised to see something very weak. Maybe even just an under pair could be the strength of the hand. So he shows Jack 10, which is the open ender. He had that. We had that in his range, and he shows a King 7, which we didn't have that in his range. We kind of went back with that top pair. Do we think he was going to bet the top pair? We did. I kind of did. We didn't have King 7 suited in this range, so if he's playing King 7 suited, it's possible that he's playing all of those suited kings. But it's hard to say. I think this kind of caught me a little off guard. I think what we're gonna have to do is just take some notes and then kind of go over this. So, all right. So our pre-flop raise is 3. Let's get the notes here. All right. So for him, it was basically raise first in, under the gun with Jack 10 of hearts. He is MP3 way, and then bet. And his bet, we're gonna figure this out. All right, so let's bring the calculator over. It was a 1.8 into a 9.5 pot, which was 19%. We could say, let's say 20%. Keep it easy. Bet 20%. Now we'll do heads up, check. Heads up, check. Heads up out of position, check. Check, check. There we go. All right, so King of Diamonds, Queen of Clubs, 8 of Diamonds. Or, I'm sorry, 8 of Hearts. Six of Spades and 8 of Diamonds. All right. And then this is our first. All right, so he called 3 big blind under the gun RFI. He's a low jack with King 7 of hearts. He is in position. He called 20%. Check, check. All right, so I think we have that. So we at least have our bet sizings lining up here. 20%. To me, that suggests weakness. Um, very occasionally, you will get the smaller bet size when the player flopped a big hand. Um, you know, I'm not even sure if I'd say trips. I'd say, probably better than trips. So flopping a flush, a nut flush, or flopping full house or quads. I mean, if they connected, they basically have the hands, they have the cards. Um, but oftentimes they're going to miss. So the smaller bets, I'm more likely to call with a wide range of hands because of how it was played. He bets 20, we can call very wide. If he checks, then we attack. And I think that's what, that's kind of the mistake. Uh, he kind of gave away his hand by the sizing, by his bet sizing. Um, I think he bets 50%. That's a whole lot harder. It's a whole lot harder to read, and that 50% makes sense. I mean, when we look at what range we put him on, it's definitely a pretty strong range. He's going to connect with this hand in some way, including draws. He could easily bet half pot. He could bet, third pot's questionable. Smaller sizes will encourage wider calls. So yeah, I mean, going up to about a third. Pot was 9.5. You bet three big blinds. You bet 3.5 big blinds. That's going to be sufficient. You're going to get some calls, and then you can follow it up, with a larger raise. Yes, the turn didn't improve your straight draw, but you still have the straight draw, and on the turn, we're still looking at, you're still looking like you have some of these strong hands. Like you'd still bet your set, you'd still bet your two pair, you still bet your over pair. I think you're still betting your top pair. So then you could balance it with your open ender and gut shot. Now, we probably don't have enough of our open ender and gut shot for balance. So open ender or gut shot. We've got 16. We probably need 16 to continue betting. So probably gonna withhold some maybe like top pair hands, just to help with our check range. So when we check here, we're not always like no made hand, middle pair, bottom pair, hands like that. I don't. Once he checks the turn, you should check the river. That's pretty typical. That would be the stop and go would be very unusual. So to bet small, check the turn, and then come out with the bet. I'd see that and I think, well, maybe he has the 8, and he could possibly have the 8 if he's got like an ace 8 king 8 in his hand. But I think he's too. His range is too narrow. I'd be very skeptical that he even connected with that 8. This other guy, I think his mistake was not attacking on that turn. Yeah, he has top pair. He's got some showdown hands. But when we get to the turn here, he also has a bunch of other hands. I think he's going to be betting the sets in two pair at this point. I think you attack with middle pair. And then basically, just to kind of balance, I think you are attacking with the weak pairs, pocket pair less than the second cards, probably your middle pair. Middle pair could be a little bit of value, a little bit of bluff. So it just kind of depends on how you look at it. But we're looking at nearly 100%. I know GTO wouldn't favor this, but we're attacking at this point because not only did he show weakness by checking, but he showed weakness by betting small to begin with. So yeah, we're betting. I think the middle pair, we're gonna bet with the queen. We assume we're gonna get called by the straight draw. 8 didn't help that. So at that point, when he checks the river, I think King 7's a great hand just to take it to showdown because villain's gonna fold all of those missed draws. But like the king, we bet. We hope that he's calling with queens. Our own missed draws, we bet. So missed gut shots, missed open enders, we bet. If he calls a turn, which I'm sure he will, he's not calling the river. So this would probably be, two bets to get the job done when you miss, when you're bluffing. All right, so we're gonna wrap that up. Go ahead and mark this as another hand read. If you like this hand, you can look tomorrow. I plan to do another.